and the mall would take a percentage of each transaction. "We've got to be careful," Jamal said, running a hand through his hair. "This is a big leap. We've been doing well with pop-ups, but this? It's a gamble." Big Mike scratched his head. "We can do it. We've got the product, and the crowd loves us. But do we have enough money to cover the fees and keep the business running smoothly?" Rico asked, looking at the others. Jamal didn't want to back down, but he needed to be strategic. "Let's put it to a vote. We'll risk it, but only if we're all in." After a tense moment of silence, the team nodded one by one. It was unanimous. They would take the chance. Preparation for the big move. The team had a lot to do in the coming weeks. With the upfront fee paid, they needed to build out their new space in the upscale mall. This wasn't just any pop-up. It was a chance to show the world that they weren't just another group of street vendors. They were a legitimate brand with the potential to go big. Jamal set up a meeting with the team. "All right, this is the plan. We're not just going to show up. We need to come in strong. We need to stand out." Lena took charge of the visual design. She worked with a local artist to paint eye-catching murals for their booth, blending bold colors with unique patterns that represented their brand's fusion of cultures. Aisha reworked the product displays, organizing everything so it was sleek and modern, perfect for an upscale environment. Big Mike crafted exclusive menu items that would be available only at the new location, with higher-end ingredients that would appeal to the more affluent shoppers. Rico worked on expanding his sunglasses collection, sourcing more premium brands to complement his already popular items. He also reached out to celebrity influencers to promote their booth on social media. Jamal, meanwhile, focused on ensuring they had all their legal and business documentation in place. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. A difficult decision. As the days drew closer to the opening of the new pop-up, Jamal started to feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him. The stakes were higher than ever, and if they didn't succeed in this new space, it could break them. One night, after a long day of preparation, Jamal sat alone, staring at the glowing screen of his phone. He noticed a text from his mom, a simple message. "I'm proud of you, Jamal." A wave of guilt washed over him. His mom had always believed in him, but this decision, this gamble, was one that could risk everything they'd worked so hard to build. He replied to her text, his hands trembling slightly. "I hope I'm doing the right thing, Mom." But deep down, he knew that there was no turning back now. This was their chance to rise above, and he couldn't afford to let his fear hold them back. The opening day. The big day arrived and the team was ready. The booth at the mall was everything they'd hoped for. Elegant, innovative, and inviting. Shoppers flowed in and out of the upscale mall, and Jamal's team was right in the thick of it. The foot traffic was incredible, but so were the expectations. At first, things were slow. Shoppers were hesitant to engage. It was a different crowd than the usual one they'd drawn at the street fairs and pop-up events. The team needed to find a way to get people to stop, look, and buy. Then Rico had an idea. He grabbed the microphone and announced, "Hey everybody, if you're looking for exclusive high-end sunglasses, step right up. We're offering a free pair to the first 10 people who make a purchase today." The strategy worked. People were intrigued, and soon the booth was packed with potential customers. The first test of success. By the end of the first day, Jamal's heart was pounding in his chest. The team had done well, very well. They hadn't made enough to break even on the cost of the event yet, but they were close. The buzz was building, and people were starting to notice them. The real test was still ahead. They needed to keep the momentum going. They had won the first battle, but the war for long-term success was far from over. The luxury market battle. The storm before the calm. Jamal couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement every time he looked around their pop-up booth. The foot traffic in the high-end mall was unlike anything they'd seen before, but it also came with an unmistakable sense of pressure. Customers were no longer just curious, they were critical. They expected the best, and anything less would turn them away. The first few days had been a whirlwind of customers browsing their booth, some buying, some skeptical. But now, as the weekend approached, it felt like the real test was coming. Luxury brands surrounded them on every side, each one established, with a big budget, a loyal following, and a reputation that preceded them. "We're in the big leagues now," Rico said, his tone a mix of excitement and nervousness. He was adjusting the sunglasses display, making sure every pair was perfectly aligned. "These brands have everything: money, legacy, and a reputation." Jamal was leaning against the counter, surveying the crowd. "And we've got us. We don't need their money or their legacy. We've got heart, and that's what's gonna make us stand out." The competition. But even Jamal's confidence was starting to wane as the weekend rush approached. The luxury brands had clearly been established in the mall for years, and their booths were immaculate. Customers in designer clothes gravitated toward those well-known names without a second thought. It was an invisible wall separating them from the newcomers. Then came Marcus, the one person who Jamal thought he would never see again. He was strolling past their booth, his eyes scanning their products with a smug look. "So, this is the big time, huh?" Marcus said, leaning against the booth. "I gotta admit, I didn't think you'd make it this far." Jamal didn't flinch. "We're not here for your approval, Marcus. We're here to show people what we're made of." Marcus chuckled. "That's cute, but I'm sure your little operation won't last long in a place like this. Luxury shoppers don't care about your street-style stuff. They've got the real deal." Jamal wanted to respond, but he knew better than to engage in Marcus's games. They didn't need to prove themselves to him. They had already proven it to themselves. Pressure mounts. As the hours passed, Jamal began to notice something unsettling. The luxury brands around them were selling fast, their booths filled with customers who were eager to part with their cash. Meanwhile, their booth was starting to feel like an afterthought. People glanced at their products, but few stopped to buy. "I don't know, Jamal," Aisha said, her voice tense. "It feels like we're not hitting the mark. We've had a lot of interest, but no one's buying." Jamal walked over to their booth, watching as a well-dressed woman picked up one of their high-end sunglasses, examined it for a moment, then set it back down. "We're not selling to the right crowd," he said, thinking aloud. "These people are used to paying a premium for what they buy. If we don't up our game, we're not going to last." Rico was quick to respond. "What if we bring in some celebrity influencers? I've been talking to a few. What if we get one of them to wear our stuff in front of the crowd?" Jamal's eyes narrowed. That was a good idea, but it was risky. Would influencers with millions of followers be enough to change the perception of their brand in the eyes of the luxury market? The power of social proof. By the following afternoon, Jamal had made a call to one of the influencers he'd met through Rico. Her name was Tasha, and she had a huge following on Instagram. She was known for her fashionable style and high-end brand affiliations, but she also had a soft spot for supporting smaller, up-and-coming brands. "I'm all about supporting the little guy," Tasha had told him during their conversation. "Let's make it happen." The plan was set in motion. Tasha would arrive at the pop-up booth the next day, wearing one of their exclusive sunglasses, and post about it on her Instagram to her millions of followers. The timing was perfect. The weekend crowd was expected to be even bigger. A game changer. The day of Tasha's visit arrived, and the entire team was on high alert. The booth was polished, the products were neatly arranged, and everyone was ready to put on a show. When Tasha walked in, it was as though the entire mall turned its head. The high-end shoppers, who had been focused on their luxury brands, now looked up in unison. Tasha was an influencer. And she had that magnetic pull. Jamal's heart raced as she made her way to their booth. She smiled brightly, immediately noticing the sunglasses display. "These look amazing," she said, picking up a pair. She turned to her camera crew who were filming the moment. Within seconds, she was wearing a pair of their exclusive black and gold aviators, posing in front of the booth as her followers flooded the stream. The comments started rolling in. "Where can I get these?" "Wow, those glasses are everything." "They're a small brand, but I love supporting new talent." The rush. Within minutes of Tasha's post going live, the crowd surrounding the booth grew larger. The phones in their pockets buzzed with notifications. People were heading over to the booth to check out the sunglasses, jewelry, and food. The rush was incredible. Shoppers began pulling out their wallets, eager to own a piece of the exclusive pop-up experience that Tasha had just spotlighted. Jamal watched in awe as the register began to beep, one transaction after another. But the real turning point came when Marcus walked by the booth again. This time, he wasn't smirking. His eyes were wide as he noticed the line of customers waiting to purchase. He tried to hold his cool, but Jamal could see the unease in his face. The tables had turned. The shift. By the end of the day, Jamal and his team had done what seemed impossible. They had not only survived in the luxury market, but they had made their mark. They'd proven that they could compete with the big names. And now, thanks to Tasha's influence, they had a steady stream of loyal customers who were eager to come back for more. But even as Jamal celebrated, he knew that this was just the beginning. The luxury market was a shark tank, and they would need to stay sharp if they wanted to continue riding the wave of success. The rise of a new rival, a new threat on the horizon. The adrenaline from their successful weekend was still fresh in Jamal's veins, but he knew better than to get comfortable. The luxury market was fickle, and it could be taken away in the blink of an eye. His team was still buzzing with excitement when he received a call that sent a chill down his spine. "Jamal," Rico's voice crackled through the phone. "You're not going to like this. We've got company." Jamal paused, the excitement fading. "What do you mean?" "It's a new brand. They just opened across the hall from us," Rico said, his voice thick with frustration. "And they're not playing around. Big budgets, big names." The competitor, Luxor's Edge. Jamal walked over to the booth, his heart pounding. There, across the hall, was a polished new pop-up. The sign read Luxor's Edge, and it was impossible to miss. The booth was sleek, lit with ambient lighting, and surrounded by a crowd of high-end shoppers. The brand was clearly aiming to steal the spotlight. The setup was flawless, the products meticulously arranged, and the staff were all impeccably dressed. But it wasn't just the aesthetics that caught Jamal's attention. It was the sheer ambition behind it. Their sunglasses, bags, and accessories all screamed luxury in a way that felt almost out of reach. The price tags matched the reputation they were trying to build. Jamal couldn't help but feel the sting. "You've got to be kidding me," Jamal muttered under his breath. The pressure builds. The first few days of Luxor's Edge being open were nothing short of overwhelming. Every time Jamal looked up, there was a crowd at the new booth. They were capturing the attention of the same luxury customers that had once been drawn to their own pop-up. The traffic that had once been flowing toward them was now diverted across the aisle. It wasn't just the aesthetics. It was the way Luxor's Edge had coordinated their launch. Their influencer game was on point, their marketing was sleek and polished, and their brand story was already established, even though they were brand new to the market. "They've got a backing we don't," Rico said, pacing the booth one day. "Look at the influencers they're working with. Top-tier celebrities. They've got deep pockets, Jamal." "Yeah, well, we've got heart," Jamal replied, his mind already racing with solutions. He wasn't about to let a polished booth or flashy marketing beat them. They had to think of something else. We've got to hit them where it hurts. Customer loyalty, community. We're not just another luxury brand. We're real.